DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's AMA with us, DeFi Kingdoms. Excited to see you all again. As always, welcome to everybody who is here listening live and to everyone who will be listening to this stream later as well. We are going to take a few minutes, run through a few updates, and then we will get started on some questions. First, to acknowledge those that we do not have with us today. Frisky Fox is still traveling, so he will be out the next few AMAs or handful of AMAs. But we are excited for him to be doing some traveling and still working at the same time, of course, because it's Frisky Fox. Beetle Dude also had some stuff that he needed to take care of IRL offline today, so he is out today as well. And Sunbear is also traveling, so we don't have Sunbear with us today either. But you get your favorite crew, and I'm going to decide that we're your favorite crew, which is myself, Winston, Hubert, and Dreamer. So excited to get started. The first update is going to be a pretty quick one, so I'll just hit it real quick. Duel Season 7 did wrap up last night, US time, so that is now complete. Super exciting. That was our first season on the new perpetual duels contract. So like I said, Fox is traveling. We are expecting a normal 2-week off season, but we are looking to confirm with him that everything is good to go for that, as well as when the Season 7 crowns will be dropped to their respective winners as well. So stay tuned for more updates on that. But as of now, we are anticipating a 2-week off season and kicking back off. Would that be Wednesday, July 3rd? I believe it is. In the US, potentially the 4th if you're in Europe. And that is, super exciting. Glad to see that first season has gone very well, and excited to see it continue as well. Fox announced the class boosts for next season a couple weeks ago, so if you have not seen those, make sure you take a look. Anything anybody wants to add on duels? Awesome. The next one is an update from the 2 governance votes that were held and passed. Hubert, you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. So I believe those ended on Saturday, this last Saturday. And I thank you all for those who voted on that. It seemed like we had a pretty good turnout of voting power, so it's always great to see. It turned out that on the summoning cooldown vote, the 14-day option was what was voted to pass. So we are working on doing contract upgrades for that, as well as getting ready to do the other change, which was for the Raffle Master, which also passed, and are expecting tentatively, I'll say Wednesday next week, but we'll have more to say. We'll give you guys some more notice when it's for sure happening, and give at least like 24 to 48 hours notice about that. I can say that with that, there will be a pause in with summoning during the time that we're doing that upgrade. So if you want to get any summons in with the current cooldowns, you'd want to do that before we do that pause. And then after that is complete, with the Gen Zeros in particular, the resets will occur for any Gen Zeros that have more than 18 summons on them right now, the next time they summon. So and so then they'll start from just the cooldown after that will be longer than 72 hours, but not that much longer, and then it will grow every summon after that.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. There's a question in chat about the percentage turnout for the votes. I'm running off of memory and an estimation, so unless Hubert, you know the answer.
I I'd have to go look at what the final results were. Last I saw, it seemed like there was almost 10 million voting power, if I'm recalling correctly. But
Looks like just over 10, like
okay.
10.3, 10.4.
Yeah, and there's like a total of, I think, around 30 million voting power between the CNS jewel holders and hero holders. So like 1/3. But there's also a decent chunk of that is team members, so you'd have to exclude those as well. So I think it's maybe closer to half, perhaps. But I haven't done like the full, calculated that all out. It's still pretty good turnout, I think, compared to like you look at elections around the world and different things like that. It's often that you see like less than half of voting populations voting. So of course I'd like to see more, but I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, and that was pretty much my estimation as well. So I think you're on the right track there, and we all know you should trust my math, right? Uh, one last update, and then we will go into some questions. As you have quite possibly seen on Twitter or in the Discord announcement, and you will continue to see it more. But we are very excited to be participating in the Decentralized Game Expo. It's a super cool virtual event. We will have a virtual booth in Decentraland for this event. It kicks off on Wednesday, the 26th, and runs through the 29th, I believe it is. But it's really cool, and I'm super excited for y'all to see it. I don't think I'm allowed to show it to you yet, so I'm not going to, but I've seen it, and it looks awesome. So it's a really cool idea from Decentraland. They've done a couple of these in the past, and this is their latest one. But one of the struggles with every conference that we've attended is just location, right? Not everybody can be there, and with this one, it's a virtual event. It runs 24 hours a day for those 3 or 4 days. So no matter where you are in the world, you can participate in this virtual event. So really, really cool concept. Super excited to be a part of it. Huge shout out to Decentraland for putting it on. And I think y'all will be really impressed with the booth once you do see it. And they are also, so some of the booths have what they call wearables in Decentraland, which are cosmetic accessories. We do have a wearable. So in our booth, you will be able to dispense a wearable as well. But all in all, I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun and just a really cool concept. They are also doing a series of panels, one of which Hubert will be on. That information is also out there already, but we will continue to share it as well. So looking forward to hearing Hubert do some speaking also. Winston?
Bolon, is our wearable going to be like a cowboy hat or like chaps? Something like that, maybe a large belt buckle?
Unfortunately, no. Now I wish it was, though, but it will be something very recognizable to our community.
Good. Well, there's always next year.
There is, yeah. We'll keep that in mind. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, a really big, like, oversized bloater belt buckle would be pretty cool.
Dude, just like huge, oversized, big. Second best ad if you're out there. Take note.
Yeah. I saw a question in chat about like how to connect. You don't need anything from the DFK side, essentially, and there'll be more information coming on this as well. But essentially, it's within. So Decentraland is like a virtual metaverse game. So it's within their ecosystem. So you just you can either go in as a guest or you can create an account. And hop into their virtual world. You'll create a little avatar. We'll have more information on that as well, but it's really easy. I got set up in 3 minutes, and then you can run around, do all kinds of cool stuff, as well as check out this expo, which will not just be us. There will be other stuff there as well, but us. But really, really excited for it. It should be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to y'all seeing that and hopefully joining us there. All right. With that, unless anybody interrupts me, we are going to jump into some questions. And I don't hear anybody interrupting me. First question, I'm going to throw it over to Dreamer. Any update on the Eigenlayer Metis integration?
Good question. So I think when we first made the deal, the like very rough timeline was expected to be a few months. We have been getting updates along the way, and they don't they're not limited to EigenLayer. We just have to be very careful in what we share, since under NDA we get to see a bit more than the public. But we can't speak for them on updates. Please look for them on those. In the meantime, what we've been doing is continuing to calculate kind of what we can work on prior to that being ready. And as a result, it's kind of making the first phase of PvP shape up to be more awesome than any of us could have really anticipated. Although we are eagerly awaiting when we can put more things on testnet and have a set date, or at least a set time frame on when to expect. We're getting close, guys. It may or may not be linked to EigenLayer itself. I think they have a number of things in the works that they're trying to see how they could optimize their chain for users and builders. But like I said, we can't really speak for them, and none of those things are finalized. But the update is we have been in the loop the entire way. I'd say in the last 3 weeks, we've been seeing a lot more progress and clarity, with a tremendous amount of that in the last week as well. So stay tuned. We are staying tuned as well, maybe in a little bit of a holding pattern on that piece, but it's a small piece to the overall large puzzle that is the Coliseum offering, and that has been pumping away and progressing with other key priorities as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Dreamer. Let's see. Thoughts on plans for marketing, general marketing, as well as lead up to PvP. I'll kick that off. We have plans. That's all I'll say. No, kidding. We do have some plans. We've talked about it before. During 2023, we really were focused on building and community interaction more so than outward facing stuff. Obviously we are still hyper focused on building, but it is time to start gearing back up and showing our faces a little bit. So obviously, like, we've seen some stuff that we've started doing, or I hope y'all have seen some stuff we've started doing. Definitely working on turning up activity on socials, participating in Twitter spaces, that kind of thing, getting back out there. But PvP definitely represents an opportunity for us to do some new stuff that we have really never done before, because it's a whole part of our game that we've never had before. So there's some really exciting opportunities there. It's something that we are talking about at this point, constantly. Hey, Action CEO. Yes, Twitter Spaces. But it's something that we're talking about very, very regularly at this point, and we do have some, I think, really, really cool stuff in the works. I do think it's a little too early to say exactly what that is, but I want to try to rest assured that it's on our agenda and we've got ideas, and I think you'll be seeing some different stuff start cropping up here when it's time. Anything anybody wants to add to that?
If I were to speculate, just joking, Alpha Police will get me. Yeah, I think in terms of marketing, you're always thinking about what is the behavior we're trying to incentivize or promote with the marketing effort. Sometimes that is simply informing our current user base, or the kind of less active user base, to try to make sure the new features are well received, well tested, and that we have some players come back. The other piece is educating people that may not know enough to be interested, and efforts and promotions to get them interested to check us out in different ways, whether going to the website, hopping in the game, participating in some type of a promotion or IP that's pulled in the game with visages. And we've been dabbling with a lot of that throughout the last year. I think we've made some big improvements and things that maybe aren't, pay X amount of money for a billboard that streams DFK or defikingdoms.com. But we've been continuing to level up the way that we market. And usually what is available in game allows us to change that. And we saw that with Hunt sponsorships. We saw that with visages. And now with PvP, there are unique opportunities for sure. Not only to attract new players, not only to reactivate maybe older players and give our current players something more, but there's a whole nother piece here with competition and viewership of that competition. And that's really front of mind for a lot of us when you think about, any type of competitive environment, there's also an opportunity to build a community around either watching that, or how do we replay it, or how do we share it. I think with hunts, the replay is fun for a lot of us. I think sharing that also allowed our streamers to have more available content to create tutorials and so on. This is going to level up and change the game again. So leading up to it, in terms of either testing on the balance testing side or the play testing side, or as things go live, and then we also have phases coming throughout the whole release, there's going to be a lot of unique opportunities to guerrilla market, and also to tap into some traditional marketing, since there's a different hook for people that really are looking for that competitive experience, or participating or speculating in some way. We're doing our best to solve for all of that. So on the build side, as we solve for that, it changes what we can market and what behaviors to incentivize. So more to come there on what we can do with our limited budget. But I think the space is kind of ripe for this type of a release. I think many creators are looking for something like this that isn't just like small Web3 connectivity or very heavy Web3, but it's like solar player game that is more of a like community coming together, competitive, scalable experience.
For sure, for sure. Speaking of hunts and streamers, though, I would be remiss to not give a shout out to Mythic Squad for the second Void Hunt tournament, which the finals, I believe, are this weekend, if I remember correctly. So make sure you check that out, support them, tune in. It's a lot of fun to watch. Sticks Intern has come up with some absolutely brutal challenges. So very excited to watch people try to beat them.
Yeah, I kind of blew it in my first round, and I've been thinking maybe, if I make a big donation to the prize purse or something, maybe I can get back in for the finals. So I'm just gonna throw it out there and let the universe percolate that around, see what happens.
See what happens. That's all you can do. Also, thank you, Action, for the reminder. If you are tuned in, please do like this video. It greatly helps our YouTube reach based on that. So drop a like. It's free. Also, subscribe if you have not subscribed. If you're listening on Twitter, like it there as well. Retweet it. All of that greatly contributes. So very much appreciated on that front as well. Uh-oh, competing bidder situation here. I like it. Let's see. Can the team briefly talk about plans to boost the utility of Jewel? We actually talked about that pretty decently last week, so I don't want to necessarily repeat everything, but some highlights were, more power-ups always planned and coming, as well as Jewel being a part of the PvP experience as well. Dreamer, Hubert, Winston, if you want to add anything to that, feel free.
I guess I'll just also mention that we're planning it to be part of expeditions too. So PvP and expeditions will have Jewel usage involved, as well as more power-ups.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. All right. This is for you, Hubert. In PvP, will stamina use work differently? With a kind of follow-up secondary, does PvP even consume stamina or grant XP at all?
Good question. It is a little bit like with how we're designing PvP. It is, we want people to be able to do a lot of fights. In general, I don't expect there to be too much stamina usage when it comes to like private matches. Tournaments may be a little bit different, but in general, there also won't be, like for private matches, there won't be like direct XP gained for doing those, just because I think that would be pretty exploitable if we did allow it. People could just play themselves with 2 different wallets, for example. We're not planning on giving XP for that. I think tournaments will be a different story, since those will be more organized, and so that's kind of the general approach with that. However, there may be at least some stamina used when you like leave the PvP area, just like a general expenditure. So, yep.
Thank you. And I'm going to go slightly out of order because this is a hyper-related question. Anyway, do we anticipate there being a cooldown in PvP or other limits to how many fights you could fight in a 24-hour period?
Currently not so much. I think for, again, tournaments is going to be a little bit more restrictive. You know, we may have certain heroes that can only participate in one tournament per X period of time. Something like that. But otherwise, again, for private matches, I think, you know, we want people to be able to do as many as they want. You know, it's going to be a little bit more free form in that regard. When we have, you know, again, tournaments, I think will be restrictive. And then if we down the road come up with other PvP content that's a little bit more organized and structured, I think those may also come with some restrictions as well.
Thank you. This is another one we actually talked about last week as well. So again, won't repeat all of it, but in-game tooltips for, you know, what each keyword does, like repost, as well as like tutorials, that kind of thing. All very much on our to-do list. Especially with the definitions, we want to make sure that they are more finalized. You know, I think last week we talked specifically about like trait descriptions, and with traits not even live yet, you know, the descriptions that we put in would not be necessarily final, but definitely very much on our to-do list, so that, you know, as much information is in game as possible, as well as tutorials. You know, shout out to Winston for making some tutorials on YouTube that have been absolutely incredible. Highly recommend checking them out if you have not. But again, yes, we definitely want to bring that in game, and it's just you know, a matter of priority, a matter of the time that we need to do that versus the time to do everything else. But it is for sure on the list and something that we think about regularly as well. Anything anybody wants to add to that? All right. Thoughts on bringing back leaderboards, but this time for hunts, things like fastest time, most damage, that could, you know, rotate each week or day or whatever the case may be, with rewards coming from entry fees. The question specifically says doesn't have to be as crazy as the original leaderboard system, which, yeah, probably. So Hubert, thoughts on that?
I do think that's an interesting idea. I also think it would be a lot of work to do. And we already do have some plans for upgrading the hunt system that is not necessarily leaderboards. So I think we're going to continue to focus on getting that done before we do any other additions. Though, you know, our focus right now is on PvP. So it's still going to be a little bit before we kind of circle back there. You know, I do in general like that concept. I think as the game evolves more, you know, leaderboards may make more sense for things like PvP tournaments, for example. For hunts, I think we're going to see, you know, that evolve when we have the travel system out and we are able to kind of have more hunts designed and different things like that. So may not necessarily make as much sense in the future as it does right now with the current way we have the game set up. So you know, we'd need to give a little bit of thought to where it makes sense to do something like that if we were to do it.
Along those lines, a question from chat: would you ever consider emotional damage as a new stat, which I think could be a great leaderboard option?
Yeah. How do we track that? It's like, oh, you're one hit away from winning, and then you miss, and then you miss, and then you miss. There you go. You've collected emotional damage.
If you
Troll through Discord, you know,
at 1 HP, you have maxed your emotional damage.
Yeah, I love the idea of a leaderboard in game. I think it would be more for bragging rights, though. Like, I don't know that it would be something, because we're already incentivizing quite a bit, and there's quite a bit of raffle action happening. And yeah, I think Hubert's right that different stuff would be better for a leaderboard. But I would love to see one just for the bragging rights. And we can plug a friendly partner, DFK Quester has a really cool leaderboard that you can check out. They have a lot of different stuff on it that more than just fastest, like most wins, by wallet and by hero and teams. It's really cool. You should check it out.
Yep, you beat me to it, Winston. But yes, huge shout out to DFK Quester. It's awesome. Thoughts on removing or lengthening the Void Hunt retry timeout so that, for example, if transactions get stuck and things are moving a little slow, just to give a little bit wider window of time for folks to run that retry?
I think we could extend that duration. I don't know that I'd want to remove it. It's kind of there was an intent there to have it kind of have a feel like when you're in an arcade and you lose in like a fight or whatever, and you get that continue countdown. Still having that kind of feel of, if you want to do it, you have a window of opportunity to do it, and that will go away if you just let it sit for too long. So, but I could see us extending it. We might, give a little bit just to, there have been some issues recently, so it makes sense to give a little bit more time to accommodate for that. So
you gotta have enough time to run over to the change machine and get quarters for your dollar bill.
All right. 10 seconds is usually not enough for that, but
Renpen would like everyone to know that she's the only person to ever make a shinobi hair hero with an elite back appendage. So that actually is pretty cool. And kudos for having a 1 of 1. That's awesome. Any plans in the near future for additional Greater Stone utility?
No. I think, the greater stones are, one of the best things you can put on a hero. They are very rare and hard to get. I think that part of this question that maybe wasn't mentioned was that, with our dual seasons being more regular now, it's a little bit easier to get your hands on them. Even then, I think when we've examined that, hasn't been too many that come from those rewards, just because it is a lot of effort to get to that tier. So I think it's still going to be, a very heavy investment to put on your hero. We do give rewards with, if you have used it and you burn a Divine Essence hero, you're going to get, more rewards from that. So that I guess there's a little bit of extra utility there, but just in general, I think every time we add more content, like adding PvP is even more utility for a Greater Stone, because if you're doing like low level fights and you have a Greater Stone hero, that's going to be very obvious compared to heroes that don't have a Greater Stone on them. So, I think just the more combat content we have, the more those heroes that have used those stones are going to shine, I think.
For sure.
Yeah, Hubert, I think you threw out a number earlier too of the amount of heroes that are using stones. Like, it's pretty minuscule compared to the amount of summons that come through.
Yeah, that was a complete random guess and not accurate probably. But if we hypothetically say that 0.01% of heroes are using Greater Stones, it's probably less than that. It's probably like 0.001 are using it. Maybe with like the summoning changes happening, there may be of heroes that get summoned after the change, it might go up to like 0.002 or 3 or 4 of the heroes. Like I still think there's plenty of summoned heroes that are not getting Greater Stones on them, and I think that will always be the case. So I think it's okay.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Thank you. Any thoughts on being able to toggle cleave on or off inside of battle?
I think that defeats the purpose of the skill. If you don't want to use cleave, I think you should just not pick the skill that gives it to you. And yeah, having it be toggleable during a fight is probably not something we're going to do.
There have to be drawbacks,
Yes.
Final blow is better anyways. Just use final blow.
Yeah, there's always drawbacks, right? Like, there's times where I wish I could use multi-shot and only target one enemy. But Another question for you, Dreamer, as a heads up before I just randomly throw it at you. What is our contingency plan in the event that the Metis partnership were to fall apart for whatever reason?
And what if we could play the what if game all day? But if one chain had issues for DeFi Kingdoms, which is currently on 2 and soon to be on 3 chains, we would look for solutions to leverage the stability in the gameplay and to house anything that may not be available on the other chains in our existing realms. There's a reason why we're very focused on working with chains that have similar code base and solidity. We've had some pretty awesome opportunities to build on other chains that would require kind of splitting that to other languages, which introduce so many different complexities and issues and problems to solve. Um, we're pretty bullish on the Metis team that we've been working with and the plan that we have there. So there's no reason to be concerned. This question is good though, because you always want to look around corners. You want to think about what could happen. You want to learn from the past. And in the past, we have had certain partners either fail us or not show up in the way that we expected. And we had other things in place in form of like a business continuity plan to make sure that we always kind of have a back door, a side door, if something like that were to happen unexpectedly. This is no different. We are, going full steam ahead. We are very excited about this. There's no reason to be concerned that like it would quote unquote fall through. But if it did, we already kind of have baked into the whole foundation of DeFi Kingdoms other things that we can do with the tech we're building for that. So good question. And I think if somebody was like around since day one, they would see this question answered more in like action that we've observed in the past rather than kind of fluffy words. But we keep these things in mind. We like to have backup plans. We like to think of the unexpected. And sometimes when it happens, we have a bit of a reactionary phase. But I think our team has proven to be very resilient and being able to work around these. And luckily, we have redundancies in place to make it possible.
Awesome. Thank you, Dreamer. Yes, if there's one thing that I think we've shown time and time again, it is resilience and that we will figure it out and make it work. Real quick, while I have you, Dream. Oh, sorry, Winston, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just going to add a teensy thing on there just to say that BizDev, I mean, the community probably sees like 15% of the stuff that BizDev works on. Like they are working on lots of stuff. They got their hands in lots of pies and they can do more than one thing at a time. So the stuff you're seeing now is stuff they've been working on for months, and the stuff you'll see in a few months is stuff they've been working on for months. So they're quite active. They're quite busy. You only see a sliver of the work that they're doing behind the scenes.
Thank you. Yes, I 100% agree. Real quick, while we dags, it worked. While I have you, Dreamer, quick question from chat as well. Any plans for the layer 0 allocation from the RFP that came to our team?
Man, what an exciting thing that has happened that none of us fully expected. I think more information has come out recently. If you aren't updated on that, please go check it out. But with that airdrop, it was communicated to us directly that not only for us, but everybody that they're working with, the aggregate airdrop amount, they're requesting that 10% go to the teams. This is meant to support the team's ongoing operations and overall efforts that kind of generated the activity to earn the awards. And we're going to be respecting that as that comes to us. I think we'll look at, moving it into treasury and it flowing into kind of overall staffing process that we have on what we do, when we do, and how we do it. But man, 90% of that going to the players seems like pretty big numbers. I mean, I'm not as close to it as others, but from what I've heard, really exciting events. And that 10% coming to us, we will put to good use on development, marketing, and building of the game. And We hope that those in the community that benefit from it as well enjoy it, and we appreciate our partners over there at Layer Zero and wishing them ongoing success.
Perfect. Thank you, Dreamer. Appreciate you. Let's see. This one is probably a Hubert kickoff, at least. Not sure how heavy of a lift it would be, but thoughts on the availability of a detailed combat log along with API access to enable potential third-party app development, such as damage meters, threat meters, kind of like the old school World of Warcraft plugins.
Yeah, I think we've touched on this topic a few times in the past. It's something I'd really like us to have available to the community, because I like to see those type of third-party plugins that people could make, and the type of analysis that could kind of go into it. It's generally just useful. We do our own analysis on how things are going, but if we have other players and third parties also kind of collecting all the data and doing stuff, it can sometimes reveal things that maybe we've overlooked. So I would really like us to get to a point where we can do that. However, I do think it would also be a pretty good chunk of work to get to that point. So we have pretty strong priorities right now with PvP. So I don't think it'd be something we'd be able to do in the short term. But I'll bring it up from time to time to see if there's any way we can kind of be working towards that as we're building. I think there's a pretty good chunk of time that would be needed to be devoted probably by Beetle Dude and perhaps also by Pinecone to get that done.
Appreciate it. And speaking of priorities, our other current priority, any updates on Expeditions development?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's moving along very, very well. We have it in our testing environment at this point. We have, let's see, I am currently in the process of reviewing all of the contract code, which is a lot. There's a very large amount that we are adding with this. It's going to be a very big upgrade. So it's still going to take me a little bit while to get through that. And then, it's addressing any bugs that are in there as well. So, it's in the finishing stages, I'll say. I guess I'll also note that it's going to launch with not every feature that we're planning to have for it. We'll have a second phase that will come later. But just due to the amount of time it's taken to get to this point, we had to kind of split off one aspect of it, which I don't think is going to be too big of a deal. But there will be one power up and one piece of functionality that'll just be missing. But for the most part, it's going to be all there. I think I don't want to put any dates on it, but we're getting very close to the end here. So I'm pretty excited for it, and it's been it's very nice as far as the feature goes. And there's a lot of analysis and discussions that we've been having just as we've been kind of buttoning everything up here, and it's been a fun chunk of time recently.
Yes. Speaking of Expeditions, which Dr. Zipper has been hard at work on, need some Dr. Zipper action for AMA. Been too long? Win zip. It's a great question. I don't know the answer, but I will see what I can do to make that happen, because I like making Dr. Zipper talk to all of us. It's enjoyable.
Maybe we can get him next week when Bolon's out.
Oh, that's just hurtful. That might be how you sell it, though. Hey, Bolon's not even here. Come join us. It might work.
I can guarantee that you do not have to talk to Bolon. I promise you.
Do what you got to do, Winston. Do what you got to do. I support it. Rolling into one of our last current questions. So if anybody has any questions that they would like us to snag live, start dropping them in chatter and Discord, and we'll poll them. Thoughts on the idea of having a new item, most likely craftable, that would allow you to skip the cooldown of a hero. To some, sorry.
I think that is an interesting idea. I could see it potentially working if it included things like divine essence, so that maybe you skip a cooldown, but at the cost of some heroes having been burned for it. I don't think it's something we're going to do right away, though. Just again, as I am a broken record on this, like we're very focused on our priorities, and adding anything more to what is on our plate right now, like it's going to be pretty far in the back burner if we're going to address things like that. So
Yeah, I feel like something like that would almost have to be more costly than it would be worth, right? Cooldowns are there for a reason, and it's to kind of keep a nice pace with how things happen. And it's, if you have to roast 40 heroes or something to shorten a cooldown, like it just kind of becomes an obscure feature that nobody wants to use, in my opinion, anyways. But I think it's a cool idea.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. Final submitted question currently is when do crowns get airdropped for season 7? I referenced it at the beginning. We are working on finalizing that with the traveling fox. So we will make sure that gets done, but I do not have a firm answer in this moment unless Hubert or Winston know better than I do, which is generally an accurate statement.
Sorry, I don't know.
I don't know either.
All right. Haha. For once, I win. So, with that, if anybody wants to throw questions at us, we will take them. But otherwise, we will move into our wrap up and call this one a little bit early. How much do I miss California? 0. It's my least favorite of all 50 states. I'm gonna have to remix California love to be California hate just for me, No, I actually had a great time when I went out there and went to Battle Mage. Which actually, I think y'all are doing a meetup this weekend, right? This Saturday at Battle Mage. We'll see if they confirm, but I'm pretty sure the San Diego crew is doing a meetup at Battle Mage Brewing this Saturday. So if you're in that area, stop by, check it out, have a beer. It was a lot of fun. I had a good time when I went out there. Here we go. All right, I got an open-ended one for you, Dreamer. You ready for this? I don't know if he's ready for this.
Dreamer has left the chat.
He's dreaming right now.
I'm here. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Got an open-ended one for you that just came in. Request that Dreamer give some thoughts about why he is so bullish on the future of DFK.
Give some thoughts on why I'm so bullish on the future of DFK. Well, I think with everything that we have built in the last almost 3 years, keep in mind we almost have a 3-year anniversary coming up. Show us other games that have been around for 3 years in the space that have built more and added to the actual game itself since launch. Every arguably week or at least month since they launched to now. That alone gives me a lot of confidence in what we have, because at certain times what is live today, they were just ideas, and it's not like we had a clear blueprint of we will do A, B, C all the way to Z, and we're 15% of the way through. We constantly have to solve for things that come up. We see opportunities that actually shape and give shape and direction to the efforts that we have, even with PvP coming up. We have a lot of things we like to build, and as we looked for that partnership with Metis, and they saw the value in the form of big dollars of what a unique feature like the Coliseum could bring to them, and they see what we've been building, our star continues to rise in many people's eyes. We're doing what many others say they will or haven't done yet. And when I see the foundation looking to be closer to completion, man, we not only have tokenized assets, we have so many different DeFi protocols to support them. We have a way to kind of passively play and build an economy that fuels an RNG focused experience that gives you a lot of adrenaline when certain things drop or are minted or summoned, and they are playable. And people have been playing for literally years and forming a bond with the whole experience. When that transfers into the world, being able to watch people compete with that passion and that economy that drives the really beautiful gameplay that we have, it really starts unlocking so much potential. What do we do with guilds? What do we do with viewership? What do we do with sponsors? What do we do with these awesome competitions that have been going on offline with our great, communities? And I know many call them guilds, and then others call them other things. But in the future, we're kind of just getting started. We're just laying the groundwork for the ongoing game, which this genre can exist in perpetuity. We see it with Final Fantasy. We see that with World of Warcraft. And so my most excited part of my body is really around what competitive gaming means and Web3. And that isn't only those competing, that's those that might be participating in the play to earn aspect, that might be participating in the actual gameplay, that might be participating in the viewing of the gameplay. And, I've mentioned a few times today about speculating, viewing, and different ways to scale and bring people in. There's something there, and it's going to come in the next couple of weeks, likely. But if you think that this is simply a way to shift from fighting a computer-based boss to fighting other players kind of at your leisure, well, you're right. That is part of it. But the vision is much bigger. And the vision leads on to bigger things from PvP that transforms completely with travel and with other aspects in the game that not only will keep us busy for a long time, but really will cement our legacy in the Web3 gaming space. So I don't know if that's what people wanted to hear or not, but with the focus that we have now, looking at where we've been and all the things it unlocks in the future, that is why I'm bullish.
Somebody clip that. Clip it. Thank you, Dreamer. Always appreciate the insight and words and bullish mentality, realistically. Sure, why not? We're going here today. If you got a free punch on any content creator on X, who would it be and why? I can't say that I have anybody in mind on that one, but anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, is Bolon technically a content creator on X, or
Definitely not.
okay? No, I don't have any.
Have you seen my X account? It's dead.
We got to get you up to the level of technically a content creator on X. Then I would punch Bolon.
I spend too much time at on DFK's Twitter. I don't have any time for my own. Hubert Dreamer, any thoughts on content?
I wouldn't really punch you. I'm sorry.
Fun?
I'm sorry, Bolon. I wouldn't really punch you.
It's okay. I'm not offended by it anyway. It's fine.
It's just like, do you want to start a fight with somebody? I don't know. No.
I know a place that you can settle it.
Right? Yeah. I mean, the IFC was created for that.
That it was. I already tried to punch somebody in the face, and yeah, I don't remember what happened. So
be careful how you say that. You might get sent videos. Awesome. Well, with that, we're gonna go into our wrap up for the day. So, going into our wrap up for the day, I'll just say again, as always, greatly appreciate everybody who takes the time out of their day to listen to us talk. Greatly appreciate the folks up here on stage who take the time out of their day to be up here on stage and answer these questions, some of which are very random. And appreciate everybody who will listen to this stream later at their convenience as well. Please make sure you do drop a like on the video, like the tweet, retweet, subscribe to the YouTube channel, all of that good stuff. It really does matter. Donate into Broken Mechanics. Which actually, you know what? Since we have a second, I'm going to take an extra 60 seconds and define what I actually mean by that. For the folks like Skiller out there who claim not be gamers. But I think in Skiller's case, we have disproven that theory. But when I say don't ape into broken mechanics, or we say don't ape into broken mechanics, essentially, if you were playing, right now you're playing Void Hunts, right? And you find a move or a combo of moves that just feels like it's way stronger than it should be, and it's, an automatic win. That's a broken mechanic, and it's going to get fixed. And so you should not then plan your entire strategy around it, because it's going to get fixed. So that is what a broken mechanic is. With PvP coming, we may find some new broken mechanics that will also get fixed. So the goal is always a balanced and enjoyable game where your decisions matter and your strategy matters. And if one of those strategies or decisions is just overly powerful compared to others, it will be adjusted. So that is what I mean by that. Anyway, that's it for my closing statement portion. Let's go, Hubert. Any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I'll just say, we're with expeditions just around the corner, and with PvP being really heavy in development right now. We have a lot going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff we're working on, finalizing and implementing right now, and I'm just really excited for what we have coming down the road here. It's especially with a big feature like expeditions and whatnot. Like it's time for a few of those big monumental shifts that we have in our gameplay and with the state of DFK. So I always like when we're able to do these really big releases. So I'm just looking forward to it. It's still going to be a little bit more time, and probably next week I'll have a broken record statement like this again. But we really are, we're getting very close on expeditions, and PvP is moving along very well as well. So just really happy to be here and be moving forward.
Winston, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'd love to just, hey guys, please don't hurt Bolon. Like that was, I don't need that on my conscience. Leave Bolon alone. He should be able to just be safe and not stalked or punched. And I definitely am not paying anybody to punch him. So any punchers out there that want to get paid, don't talk to me about it.
That seems very genuine and natural.
Yeah, thank you. Just stoked on what's going on with the game, and I really grateful to be a part of the team and just see. I mean, if I was going to say I was bullish about something, it would probably be this view from the inside at just like how heavy of hitters this team is. Just everybody firing on all cylinders. So I'm really stoked about that, and also the community. You guys are great. Couldn't do any of this stuff without you guys. So glad you guys are playing, and glad you're listening to us rant and rave up here about stuff. So thank you.
Thank you, Winston. And actually, I lied. One last comment, because Winston speaking reminded me of it. Winston referenced it earlier, but I will be out for next week's AMA, so Winston will be hosting again, which I'm super excited to go back and listen to it a little bit later Thursday. You did a phenomenal job with the last one, and I'm excited for you to do another one. Dags, that was not meant to be a challenge. Fine, here you go. Don't ape into broken mechanics. Don't listen to Dags. And with that, we will go to Dreamer for final comments. And after your talk about why you are bullish on the future of DFK, I think it's only fitting for you to do today's bullish as well.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I've already given some closing comments, and when I was tricked and peer pressured to be bullish prematurely, you even made me say it before we're saying it. It felt so awkward. But next week, there is another Karate Combat event. We're trying to see if we can get a little plug-in for PvP. In that, they usually work with us on trailers and other things. They have a great distribution. Their network is constantly growing. I may be there. There may be some others in attendance that might be looking to connect with. So if you still hold karate, or you like your karate gis, or you enjoy watching those fights, go check it out. There are more IFC things coming up this year as well. I don't remember what's public, so I'm not sure what I can say. But some of the fights look really cool. So if you're listening to this and you want to connect to that, go to the IFC page. I think they have a new website. But ongoing collaborations with DeFi Kingdoms is greatly appreciated. And especially as we get the word out and start to get the word out on the Coliseum and PvP, we want as many people, whether they're players, streamers, or just generally interested parties in the space, to know about it, partake in the awesome events that we're doing, and get some of the rewards. So with that, I will leave us with a dreamy bullish. Thanks, everybody.
Bullish.
And we will see you all next week.
DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your